All right, here we go. Another Dave Rubin segment. Lord save me. So Dave Rubin went on the Valuetainment podcast. These guys are, with the PBD folks, Patrick, Bet, David. There's a big conversation here with a number of people. We got two clips for you within this segment. One of them, Dave Rubin, is going to go after universal health care. Fun. By the way, remember back in the day when he used to pretend like he supported it? Remember that? I remember that. Do you guys remember that? Then I believe it was David Pakman tried to get more specifics out of Rubin. What kind of system exactly do you support? Is it a single-payer system? Is it a multi-payer system? Is it an individual mandate system like Obamacare? What is it that you support? He tried to get it out of him, and it was the most embarrassing. It was, Dave Rubin was just spewing political ignorance nonstop. So anyway, Rubin talks here about Medicare for all. Then wait until you see the segment on billionaires. Let's have some fun.
Medicare for all. Of course, everyone wants everybody to have health care. This is where they have this very thin veneer. The ideas, it all kind of sounds right. But then we know, even post-Obamacare, we know that most doctors, I have several friends who are doctors who were fairly successful doctors before Obamacare, and now they mostly are pencil pushers and paper pushers.
Okay, right off the bat here, there is more pencil pushing and paper pushing under a private system. When you have private health insurance companies and all sorts of claims that could either be accepted or rejected, that's a lot of fucking paperwork. That's a lot of paperwork. There's way more paperwork and way more overhead costs in a private for-profit system. Private health insurance, private health care. All more paperwork, all more overhead costs. That's a fact. We know this. They've studied it. They compared Medicare to our private health insurance system. For Medicare, the percentage of the money that actually goes towards care is over 90%. With the private health insurance system, it's under 80%. So these are facts. He has no idea. He literally has no idea what he's talking about.
Fairly successful doctors before Obamacare, and now they mostly are pencil pushers and paper pushers and everything else, and do more involving real estate than actually tracking and prescribing medications for patients. So the idea of could the government give everybody free education? Sure, the idea is nice. Does it mean the education is good? No, actually, we know that for a fact.
His claim is that all public education is definitionally worse than private education. Dave, these things are provable. They're verifiable. You can look at the public versus the private. And what you're saying is not true. It's not accurate. This guy's unbelievable, man.
Free education. Sure, the idea is nice. Does it mean the education is good? No, actually, we know that for a fact. Could the government give everybody health care? Well, the idea is nice. Could it actually? If you have socialized health care. Now, first off, there's always going to be private health care too, because the rich people and the people that can afford it are going to still get the best care, and they're going to figure out other.
That's not true. There's some countries where when they say they have nationalized health care, they fucking mean it. It's fully public insurance, so the government is the single payer, and it's also they are funding a fully public healthcare system and doctor system. So that's not true that, they're always going to have the private option. You could always go to that. In some universal healthcare systems, yes. Not in all of them. There are different ways of structuring these things. And he doesn't know these things because he's deeply uncurious. He read one Ayn Rand book and thought he figured out life.
Always going to be private healthcare too, because the rich people and the people that can afford it are going to still get the best care, and they're going to figure out other ways to pay for it. And basically every good doctor will figure out how to get out of the system. So you will have a system with lesser care in general. But then let's say we're all in this system together, or basically the bulk of us are in this system together. Well, if you're young and healthy and you eat right and you exercise and all of those things, and then your neighbor is fat and eats fast food all the time and never exercises and has diabetes and a bunch of other comorbidities and everything else, should you pay less or more than they pay? And you can see how over time it will create all of these resentments between people because, I do everything right. And then what you end up doing is what we largely do in America, which is you punish all of the good people. You take care of yourself. Well, you still have to pay in as much as the person who doesn't, even though they're a drain on the system and you're not a drain on the system.
Dave, that's the whole fucking idea of insurance. The whole idea of insurance, as Chris Rock famously said in a bit, is in case shit. The whole idea of insurance is if we all pitch in a little bit, then when some shit happens, whoever had something happen to them, they're good. They don't have to worry about it. It's taken care of. And by the way, This idea, some people are just like, they're the Ubermensch. They're like perfectly healthy and they'll never have any contact with the healthcare system ever. That's just factually not true. Everybody at some point in their life will need to go to the doctor, will need to go to the hospital, will have some sort of an issue. Even if you're great for most of your life, you're totally fine, and then at the very end, something happens, you end up having to go to the hospital. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when you have to go. If the way we structured the system is only, the people who are in the catastrophic situations, they have to pay everything out of pocket and nobody else has to pay anything, the system would collapse instantly. You literally can't do that. And by the way, even when you're talking about a private health insurance system and a private health care system, even under that scenario, everybody pays in some very similar amount. There might be some variation, but it's not much. Everybody pays in, and then whoever needs the help gets it. That's the case whether it's private health insurance or public health insurance, right? It's just a matter of degree. The difference is a matter of degree, right? But it's like he doesn't even understand the idea of insurance. He's attacking the whole notion of insurance, whether it's private or public. God, he's so dumb.
A good job, and you pay more into the system, and you don't use the system, well, that guy doesn't really have a good job and doesn't really do anything and plays video games and watches porn all day, but he's going to get more of the bulk of the benefits of the system. So the more we centralize the more we centralize the system that we're all part of, the more we actually have working against each other rather than figuring out what works for you, your family, etc.
The way that makes the most sense, and this is empirically proven as in the outcomes are the best, is to have some semblance of a universal healthcare system. Everybody pays in by taxes, and then when you need help, it's free at the point of service. That's the best way to do it. It's not debatable. The jury's in. It's over. It's done. I love this comment underneath here. He uses free college as an example, saying it would be free, but the quality of the education wouldn't be great, which is funny because as of 2024, the top two countries rated with the best quality of education are Iceland and Germany, which both have free college. What is there to say? I can't even believe I'm bothering to respond to this idiot. Remember this? The Commonwealth Fund. They do this study every couple of years. This one's from 2021. New international study. U.S. health system ranks last among 11 countries. Many Americans struggle to afford care as income inequality widens. Ranking underscores U.S. as a lagging outlier among high-income nations and importance of universal insurance coverage, strong primary care and investment in social services. The way that they did this study is they measured access to care, the care process, healthcare outcomes, administrative efficiency, cost, all these things factored in. And every time they do this study, the U.S. ranks dead last out of 11. So again, not up in the air, not a debate, not a question. We have a system that is more privatized than all these other countries, and our outcomes are worse. Almost everything about our system is worse. Okay, then there's this. These countries have the most well-developed public health systems. Sweden, Canada, Finland, Denmark, Norway, what do all these have in common? Switzerland, what do all these have in common? Every single one of these countries is one version or another of a universal healthcare system. Some are single-payer, some are multi-payer, some are a variation of a public option. Every single one of them has one version or another of a single-payer healthcare, of a universal healthcare system. What are we? Not universal healthcare. Not universal healthcare. Again, we have a lot of for-profit private insurance, for-profit private care. You're price gouged left and right. By the way, what type of healthcare in the U.S. ranks the most popular, the most efficient, the one people like the most? Medicare. That is the universal system we have for the elderly only. He just doesn't know what he's talking about. There's that famous World Health Organization study from, the year 2000. The U.S. ranked 37 in the world. There's one thing that's the connecting tissue in all of these empirical studies determining which healthcare system is the best. Time and time and time again, the systems that are universal end up crushing us. The systems that are either single-payer or multi-payer, different variations of universal, they all crush us. I mean, the Scandinavian region runs circles around us. And still to this day, it's the fear-mongering. It's like the anti-socialism bullshit. It's these nonsense arguments which are easily disproven about how, this is not the way to run the system. He doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. He just doesn't know what he's talking about. He's a true libertarian ideologue. That's what he is. Like I said, he read one Ayn Rand book and thought he figured out life. And it's not about what the actual evidence says. It's not about being an empiricist and evaluating the evidence and coming to reasonable conclusions. It's more about, I've come up with this idea in my head that I think makes the most sense to me, and so I'm just going to spew that. Nobody should respect that. Nobody. But I saved this part for the end here. So you thought that was fun. Now he's going to do his whole, this is a joke, pity the poor billionaires routine. You ready for this? The poor, oppressed, victimized billionaires. We should all shed a tear for them.
You're in the 1% if you make $400,000 a year, which actually is not a tremendous amount of money in the world that we live in. But they always get after people with yachts. And it's like, you know how many people you have to employ to build a yacht, to take care of a yacht, that are going to work at the shipyard and everything else? So you've thus created all of these other jobs. You could be a billionaire and have the most ridiculously large house that clearly you don't need to survive, but you're hiring tons of housekeepers and you're hiring tons of staff and people and security and all of these other things.
It's the job creator argument, but for housekeepers and yacht maintenance. Let me ask Dave Rubin this. What do you think would create more jobs and have more social good tied to it? Not taxing the billionaires and letting them hire 12 housekeepers and 30 people to work on the yacht maintenance and drive it and all that stuff. Is that a better way to spend our resources? Or what if we tax the billionaire, take 2% of their money, tax them on that, and then create thousands of public work jobs to rebuild our bridges, rebuild our roads, create some sort of beautification committee to make sure we get flowers planted in public spaces, keep the road nice and clean, all that fun. What do you think is a better way to spend our resources? Don't tax the billionaire, let him hire a bunch of nannies and a bunch of people for yacht maintenance, or tax the billionaire. Here's another one for you. Would you rather not tax the billionaire, have the nannies and the yacht maintenance stuff, or tax the billionaire and eliminate homelessness among our veterans? There's tens of thousands of homeless veterans in this country. It might even be more than that. I know we have, the official number was like 400 or 500,000 homeless people. I think the actual number is higher than that. Let's just go with 600,000 for argument's sake. 600,000 homeless people, tens of thousands of homeless veterans. Would you, Dave Rubin, rather not tax the billionaire, let him get some housekeepers and some people to work on the yacht, maybe create 50 jobs in the process, right? Or tax the billionaire, take that money, and put a roof over the head of every single U.S. veteran who is now homeless. Give them their mental health care, right? The treatment they need, the therapy they need, etc. Which is a better way to spend our resources? Look, he's boxed himself into a corner, right? Because when you have an anti-government perspective, and it's axiomatic, right? It's inflexible. It doesn't change. I've already decided no government is always the answer. Well, then you can't answer reasonably to the questions I just asked. You're not possible doing that. You are an anti-government ideologue. And so you end up defending absurd perspectives. And here he's literally said $400,000 is, quote, not a tremendous amount of money. And then he goes on to defend yacht owners because, hey, they create some jobs. This is the whole pity the poor billionaires. They're oppressed. They're victimized. How dare they have to pay some percentage of their income and put it towards a social contract that's supposed to help people in terms of providing the basics. He's outraged by that idea. So look, I mean, this far away from just going out there and defending extreme income and wealth inequality. Remember when that Kevin O'Leary guy said that when the Oxfam report came out, which found that I think the number was 28 people, the top 28 people have more wealth than the bottom 50% of the world combined. 28 people have more than 3.5 billion people combined. And the Kevin O'Leary guy came out and said, that's great. I love it. Because it gives those 3.5 billion people something to strive for, something to look up to, something to work hard towards. That's where Dave Rubin is, right? That's his belief system. He wouldn't even agree with the very basic, like, well, let's take the basics, the necessities of life, take them off the table, try to make it so that if we're having the equivalent of a 100-yard dash, that everybody starts at the same time, right? Make it fair, make it just, make it reasonable. He would say no. He would say the son of the billionaire starts at the 99-yard line, and the son of a single mother from the inner city starts at the negative 99-yard line, and then we have the race, and then I'm happy. So the extreme income and wealth inequality, the unfairness of the system, the lack of a way to ameliorate the extreme ills, he looks at that and views it as virtuous. Okay. But good luck trying to make that argument, because it ain't going to fucking land. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.